Greetings. Dumela, Saobona, Sakpase, Namaste, Upshin, Dubra Otra, Assalamu alaikum, Hotep, Buenas noches, bonsoir. What's going on? Greetings, everyone. My name is Doriel Inez Larrier of Larrier's Education and Resource Network, where I plant seeds to help you grow. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 3 of The Digital Couch. I'm so blessed. I am so honored to meet with you this evening, not just meet with you, but also share an incredible, inspiring, informative conversation on the couch tonight about a very delicate topic, about a delicate health matter that for some sends them sometimes spiraling into a mood altering space that isn't necessarily so productive. But what happens when a diagnosis sends somebody spiraling to the other direction, into a space of productivity, into a space of connecting with family, and leaving your legacy or leaving a mark on life? So if you knew that you had 4 years maybe to be, what would you do? Would you take a family trip? Would you, just write a book? Or would you start a business? Well, tonight we're going to chat with Sister Keisha Hixson, who did just that. She not only took a moment that could turn into a tragic one, but she took it and she definitely has a testimony. She's going to share that testimony with us here on the Digital Couch. Please welcome Keisha Hixson.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me, Doriel, on the Digital Couch. I'm so excited to be here tonight.
Yay, excellent. So for the record, this is the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. It is January 17th of 2022, and I only say that because I happen to be wearing my Only God Can Judge Me shirt, and I wanted to give a shout out to a fellow shepreneur, and that is Sister Kimberly Ellis, who designed the shirt, and I do the best to wear it either during this period of time in January or in February to make sure that people know people may like you, they may talk about you, but only God can judge you. So I wanted to just shout that out. Here on the Digital Couch, you know what we do? We bring our teacup because we have to sip on something because the conversation can get that way. And we also want to make sure that we share the information with other people, whether it be friends, family, colleagues, your ministers, your church family, people down the block, because tonight's conversation is going to be something that every single person needs to hear about and hear a perspective that is not often discussed. Keisha Hixson, we're so glad to have you on the Digital Couch. I am going to read just a couple of things before we get into our conversation because you need to help me wrap my head around what's going on and what happened to you during this period of time 6 years ago. So I'm actually just going to read, for the record, I'm going to read a definition. Multiple myeloma is a cancer of bone marrow. Bone marrow is the spongy tissue inside of long bones. In this cancer, plasma cells, which is a type of white blood cell, accumulates in the bone marrow, giving rise to tumors in multiple bones of the body. Normal plasma cells make antibodies to help the body fight against infection and various diseases. An increase in the number of multiple myeloma cells crowds out the normal cells and destroys them. Let me pop down to, there are 3 stages, and if there's a 4th one, because I was trying to figure this out, there are 3 stages where if you get this diagnosis, there's a period of time that your body will remain as healthy as possible, and it's your expectancy rate. Stage 1, it says 62 months, which is 5 years and 2 months. If you have stage 2, and this is at the time of diagnosis, it's 42 months or 3.5 years. But if it's stage 3, the expectancy rate is 29 months. Please tell us what happened 6 years ago during this very week of Dr. King's birthday.
Well, actually, this week, the Martin Luther King weekend is a pivotal weekend of how I found out that I had multiple myeloma. So I just thought about something. Yesterday, the way how it stormed lightly was the same type of weather we were experiencing during that weekend. So it snowed a bit. So I went to Lowe's to pick up some salt. And when I came home, I took my shoes off at the door, but I had my sneakers on. And I slipped in the kitchen and I hit my elbow. And I didn't really fall hard, but the pain in my left elbow was the pain. I couldn't even describe it to you. But I didn't feel like my something was broken, but something was wrong because I couldn't really use my arm. So that was Saturday. Sunday, I went to an urgent care place on Prospect and Flatbush because I was in sales at the time. We were about to start our new sales year. I was like, I can't be out sick. Like, I can't. Let me figure out what's going on with my arm. So I went to an urgent care place on Prospect and Flatbush.
Hmm.
The doctor was like, you're still young. I can't imagine you broke your arm, but I'm going to take an x ray just to be certain. So she takes an x ray, and the panic on her face, I would never forget the look on her face. She was like, "Oh my God, Miss Hixson, something is wrong. I'm trying to find you an orthopedic doctor to go see today." I was like, "Okay, calm down. What's going on?" She was like, "Something is on the x-ray that I'm not comfortable with. Anyway, I found you this doctor to go see Dr. Patel on 9th Street." So I went to see him he's a hand and surgeon doctor. So I went to see him Monday, Martin Luther King. Today, I went to his office because I was off of work. So it's perfect. I'll come tomorrow. I go see this doctor. He gives me another x ray and he says to me, I need to go take an MRI. It could be 2 to 3 things. He explains to me what it could be. He
Right.
takes the x ray. He tells me it's not broken, but you did fracture part of your elbow and my forearm. But he needs me to go take an MRI on
Okay.
Tuesday. So I call out of work Tuesday, which would be tomorrow. I went for this MRI. The results comes back. So he called me, goes, the results are in. I need you to come to my office on Thursday. Okay, no problem. So at the time, I was working downtown Brooklyn. So I went to work late and it was cold that day. Cold. So during the visit on Monday, he gave me a sling for the arm to stabilize it. So I had the
Right.
sling on and I had my coat over me and I'm singing. What could it be? I have to have surgery. Okay, it's okay. It's gonna be okay. And I get to the office and he says to me, "Miss Hixson, I have something to tell you." He said, I don't know you, but I know that you're a straight shooter. He
Right.
says to me
Which you
something,
are.
I'm a straight shooter. And he says to me, "Something significantly is wrong with you. I made an appointment for you to go see an orthopedic oncologist at Mount Sinai the following Monday." Okay. I was like, okay, no problem. So in the interim, when I
Hmm.
had the accident and the thought of surgery, I contacted my hematologist because I have a rare blood disorder that I take a blood thinner for years, since about 15 years now. So I contacted my hematologist, Dr. Hyde, like Monday. I said to her, I may have to have surgery. So I need to reverse my blood thinner when I go to surgery, which is
Sure.
something that you have to do. She says to me, "Come see me so I can take a blood test." So
Right.
when I left taking the MRI on Tuesday, I went to her that same Tuesday to take this blood test to prepare to go to surgery because that's something that
Right.
any procedure I need to have, I have to involve her.
Of course.
So Thursday, I leave his office. He tells me this. And I remember I'm trying to pay my copay at the window before I leave. And I
You are
just started to
being
get hot.
responsible.
I'm always responsible. And I'm hot. Like all of a sudden, like this heat comes over my body. And
Hmm.
the young lady was taking too long to give me my change. I told her to keep it because I had to go outside. I get outside and I'm playing the conversation back in my head. And I start screaming in the middle of the street because all I could hear is orthopedic oncologist. playing in my head.
Hmm.
It's like, okay. So I just started screaming in the middle of the street. Like, I just can't believe you just said that to me. So anyway, I pull myself together. I get in my car. I go to work because we're in a new sales year. Like, it's January. It's the top of the year. And I have to prepare my team because I have to go out on some type of surgery, whatever. And like, our year end reviews were due. So like, let me go do whatever I can do before I have to go out. But I'm sitting at my desk and I'm like, this man just tell me, this doctor, that I have to go see an oncologist. So I call him back and I say to him, Dr. Patel, I just want to be clear. Are you referring me to an oncologist? He goes, Keisha, something significantly is wrong with you. Make sure you go to that appointment.
Hmm.
Okay. So a few hours later, Dr. Hyde calls. So I've been Dr. Hyde's patient um since I was pregnant with my daughter. So this blood disorder came out when I was pregnant with Maddie. So I've been her patient for at that time 8-9 years. So she knows me in and out. She calls like 2 hours later. So her office is on like Livingston Street, downtown Brooklyn. She goes,
Mm-hmm.
Keisha, I gotta talk to you. Can you talk? I was like, yeah. She everybody knows. I don't need to be baby. Just tell me what it is. So she goes, Keisha, I have something to tell you. She goes, unfortunately, you have multiple myeloma. Okay. Spell it.
Right. It's not even registering yet.
Spell it. So I'm looking. I said, all right. She goes, come to the office tomorrow morning. I got to talk to you. I said, okay. So I start Googling what multiple myeloma is. The initial shock of you have 3 to 5 years to live is no known cure for it. It's treatable. Couldn't be. I couldn't believe it. There's no way. No way. Because cancer is even run in my family.
Right.
No
Wow.
one has cancer except me. So I call her back. I said, Dr. Hyde, there's no way. I'm reading this. I'm coming to the office now. So she didn't have office hours that day, but she lives in the same brownstone, so to speak. She goes, all right, I'll come downstairs. I go talk to her. She says to me, the blood work has confirmed this is what it is. And I sent her the images from the MRI. Has
Mm-hmm.
confirmed this is what you have. I said, okay, what is the next step? She goes, you have to get what's called a biopsy of the bone
Right.
marrow. So I'm going to make an appointment for you to go to Cornell because she was affiliated with Cornell at the time. So she's also a hematologist and an oncologist.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes, you have to go take a bone marrow test for us to confirm what deficiency you have, what type of multiple myeloma you have. Okay. So I go like the next Tuesday, and
Mm-hmm.
that's where it started. That
So,
is where it
so you,
started.
so you get this diagnosis that it is confirmed that you have multiple myeloma. You contact your family. What is the response to, first of all, you just absorbing it and coming to terms with it, and then how do you then move to tell your family, or like what were your next steps?
To be honest, I don't even remember. I remember, so my family's very small. It's my mom, my two cousins, my daughter, her dad. Um, I
Your
just
brother?
remember, huh?
Your
I have
brother?
a what?
Your brother?
I have a brother. We're 8 years apart. He currently lives in Guyana, so I do have a brother.
Mhm.
But the immediate family in the New York area, that's it. My two cousins, my mom, Maddie, her dad, my husband at the time. So this diagnosis comes. I go to get the biopsy.
Mhm.
It's confirmed. This is what you have.
So, for those of you who are just popping on, thank you, as I'm seeing some people pop up. We're having a conversation about a diagnosis of multiple myeloma, and how my guest here, Keisha Hixson, how she took that diagnosis and she didn't sort of let it make her sit back. She actually moved forward and started businesses. Now, most people wouldn't do that, but she did. And that's what we're here to talk about here on the Digital Couch, Season 2, episode 3. Thank you very much for coming in. Please share this with other people. Bring your tea, bring whatever you need to sip, some paper and pen, because you're going to take some notes, but listen to this story. Go ahead. So what happens next?
So what happens next? They confirm what type of myeloma it is. And when you originally read WebMD, the Mayo Clinic, there's different types of myeloma, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's different stages, as you talked about in the beginning. So I personally have the lambda deficiency. So in the plasma cells, there's a lambda and the kappa. I have the lambda deficiency.
Mm.
Also, I don't secrete the M protein, which makes it more aggressive. And I don't have any depletions, chromosomal depletions that would also make it more aggressive. But at the initial, you don't understand all that. All you understand is it's incurable. This is what you have to live with. There's no known cure, and there's no known reason to how you get it. It's environmental. Could I have been exposed to a chemical? I walked home 9/11. Did I drink something? Was I exposed to Roundup? No one knows, right? And it's also mostly common in older people. At this time, I was only like 38, right? So that was that. So we went over what's called the initial treatment option, which is, so when I got diagnosed, 70% of my bone marrow was already cancerous, right? So leading up to that, I did have symptoms like severe night sweats. I had bone aches, so bone aches at night. But you think that you're overworking yourself. I'm also a few pounds overweight. So during that time, I remember like going to the gym a lot. I was spinning, I was running, trying to get the weight down. I was suffering from severe fatigue. But I just chalked it up to, I'm tired, I'm overworked, I need to lose a few pounds, because when I go to the doctor, my blood pressure is low, my cholesterol is low, I don't have diabetes, and my heart is in good condition. So there was no other indicator than you need to lose a few pounds. And every doctor would tell you, lose a few pounds, right?
Right.
But the body was, because it was also fighting. There's a smoldering stage to myeloma. So you smolder, and then the disease becomes active.
So can I just actually, I want to interject. Sure. So Keisha, thank you very much for talking about the signs and symptoms. And I want to actually shout out my doctor, who actually has shown up and is watching, and say congratulations. Very important clinical information directly from the patient. Congratulations on the topic in the interview. Thank you so much. Shout out Dr. Byer. You know how I feel about you. God bless you.
Dr. Byer, please chime in or send a question or comment if you feel like I'm saying something that's not clinically correct.
No,
but
actually,
I'm almost a doctor. I'm almost a doctor in my home.
So thank you so much. I really just wanted to give that acknowledgement.
I appreciate that.
So I actually just wanted to repeat some of the symptoms and give some of the other symptoms, because this is exactly why I started this platform. I am usually in conversations and I ask really deep questions. And sometimes the people I'm talking to, they just like, well, why are you thinking so much? And I'm like, listen, particularly when it comes to health, if somebody is, let's just say dealing, I don't want to say suffering, but dealing or trying to survive something that is health related, and they quote unquote keep it to themselves because they don't want people in their business,
don't help anybody.
You could actually be saving somebody's life if you share that somebody else is actually dealing with these same symptoms. So I kind of want to just run down the signs and symptoms. So you talk, let me just see the list that I came up. So loss of appetite, nausea or vomiting, feeling thirsty, frequent urination, constipation, feeling very tired, muscle weakness, restlessness, confusion, or trouble thinking. Now, those symptoms can be from a multiplicity of diagnosis, but it's one of those things where if you have those things, if you experiencing those symptoms, then go to your physician, or at least call them up, send them an email now with like WebMD or, these virtual things, and just say, hey, these are things that I've experienced. But then here are some other signs and symptoms, and that is fractures. And so you were talking about a fracture that you had, bone pain, weakness, exhaustion, bleeding, easy bruising, anemia, frequent infections, and possible weight loss. So I just wanted to read those symptoms out to people. Again, please play this over if you think you may have some of these, and then also share it with other people, because here's a person that's living. I'm not the doctor. I'm the first one to say I'm not, but here's a person who is surviving it and is thriving as a result of it. But had you not, let's say, broken your bone or had this fracture, you would not have known.
A couple things. So most of those symptoms I didn't have. The only thing I had was I was having night sweats, some bone pain in like the left shin area, but I attribute that to I used to spin a lot at that time. So I
Hmm.
attribute that to me spinning. I had night sweats, chronic fatigue. I couldn't even function how fatigued I used to be. But I just attribute that to I need to lose some weight. Right. And I was anemic for years. I was anemic for years. So, but those are the only three things that I can tell you at that time that was a problem. And I used to go to the doctor every year because remember I told you I'm under care of a hematologist
Hmm.
because of my blood disorder. It never came up. So what I would like to for anyone, if you feel any type of way, you need to contact your physician. If you feel anxious, if you feel fatigued, if you feel thirsty, losing weight, because there's other deficiencies and other illnesses that come along with that. We need to stop getting away from, oh, it's just this, it's just that, because prevention and early detection is key in most diseases.
Right.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, cancer, leukemia, it's key. Like you need to just make sure you make your appointment to go to the doctor and listen to your body. That's what I would say about that.
I need somebody
So,
to type in the chat wherever you're seeing this. Listen to your body. I'm going to ask that question because the other thing is I will ask people to type things in the chat because sometimes we've scripted a couple of things. We know we're going to talk about a couple of things, but sometimes we'll either say things or bring things up that'll cause people to say ooh or oh or wow. Just type that in the chat if it resonates with your spirit. Type it in the chat, and then we'll be able to come back. And I'm speaking fast because I want to respect time, but we want to be able to either respond, look up something, or ask or answer a question or follow up with a question or a comment that comes up. Okay, and you are now officially called my stream team. My stream team takes notes. Those of you who know. So let's go. All right, let's continue.
all right. So they started that was called the induction therapy. So they decided to do radiation on my arm because it was away from my trunk. So the
Mm,
reason why I fractured, so I also when you have myeloma, you get lesions in the bone. It's like the bone marrow, the cancer is eating through the bone, right? So parts of the bone become weak, and that's when I fell and it fractured my forearm. So they gave me radiation on my arm, and then I started what's called the induction therapy, which is like every disease has your first line of defense. Like you do this first. If this doesn't work, then you go to this. So I started something called Velcade, dexamethasone, which is a steroid, and Revlimid, which is an oral chemo. So I would take 2 shots a week, take these steroid pills and chemo pill every day for 6 months until the cancer kind of subsides, so to speak,
mm,
right? It kills the cells and it kills the cancer cells in your body. And the only way to know if it's really working, so even now, I take a blood test every month. So I live and die by blood tests, right? Every month I take a blood test. I'm on what's called maintenance chemo. Every week I take a chemo shot. And I'm on, so every month they test to see where my myeloma markers are. If my lambda is rising, my kappa is steady, the ratio of the two. So every 4 weeks, that's how I know whether I'm still in remission or my medication is no longer working. So I'm not sure if you read during your research. So what tends to happen is your body becomes immune to a certain drug, and then you move on to the next drug. But
okay.
luckily for me, the initial drug still has worked 6 years later. So let's fast forward. After 6 months of being diagnosed, my cancer was under control and they ciphered my stem cells, right?
Okay.
So it's a procedure you go through almost like dialysis where they run your blood through a machine and they cipher out your blood cells, your stem cells. And the idea is you do something that's called the stem cell transplant. So at that
Hmm.
time, I chose to leave Cornell because I just felt like for something that's incurable, the doctor was a little laissez-faire for me. But I get it now. It's a waiting game. But at that time,
Hmm.
it was not sitting well with me. So I
Right.
went to Sloan. I transferred the hospitals and I went to Sloan. When I went to Sloan, I met a doctor in the myeloma team, and I brought along my friend who's a doctor, Doris, because I was waiting for Doris to be like, she's not telling you the right information. Doris said she was coming to hold my hand, but Doris is like my secret weapon, even though Doris is not an oncologist. She's just a general practitioner. So I meet this new doctor, and she says to me, Keisha, I was not going to do the transplant because it's not a cure. and I was
Mm.
going to wait until the drugs stopped working. She says to me, this doctor, she says, if you were my sister, you would do the transplant. Like with all certainty. If you were my sister, you would go to transplant right now.
Wow.
So I listened to her, I did the research, and I went to transplant a year later, which is the same month. So January 4th, I went into the hospital to have the transplant. So the transplant consists of, they give you like this high dose of chemo, and that's when I lost my hair. So people think that when you have cancer, every chemo makes you lose your hair. It does not. But you don't know that unless you have to go through it. So
Wow.
I was admitted to the hospital. They give me like this high dose of chemo. You lose everything. Your immune system, all my vaccines, I lose everything. And then they reintroduce your stem cells to you. Because the idea is to strip you of any traces of the cancer. When they reintroduce your stem cells, your body will regenerate and help you fight the cancer off longer. Because there's no cure. I always have the clone. The clone is somewhere in here.
Wow.
Somewhere in here. Right now, my biopsy shows I have less than 3% of my blood is still cancerous. So next week, every year, I take a full PET scan and biopsy to see if the medication is working and where I'm at. So for the past 6 years, it has shown that I'm still stable. So when she kind of poked me into transplant, the idea was it would help me sustain and not what they call relapse
Hmm.
faster, right? And it kind of worked. It
So
worked because
okay, so
not kind of
I'm
good.
gonna read a comment. So I want to thank one of my stream team people who are responding, and a brother says, I commend her for her great faith to still decide to live at the level she's living, starting businesses in the face of this situation. God be praised.
Thank
So
you.
we've gotten this diagnosis. You're
Right.
starting the treatment. What happens that you say, oh, I'm going to take a trip, I'm going to spend time with family, but I'm going to start a business?
So
Like, what?
initially, when it hit the fan, we all went on vacation. Like we went on this cruise because it was
Beautiful.
kind of like we don't know what's gonna happen. It was my mother retired because of it, and I was still going to work. Like she could not wrap her head around that her daughter was diagnosed with cancer. She couldn't. I was like, I don't know why you stopped work because I'm going to work every day. Like at that time, I was still working. Like I don't know what you're doing, but I'm
Wow.
going to work. But anyway, so fast forward. I was grateful for the time that I my body responded well to treatment. But the idea of I'm going to work for this institution for the rest of my life, I'm going to pass away, and all they're going to say is, "Oh, she worked here for X amount of years." That was great.
Hmm.
What would be my legacy? My daughter was only 8 years old. What would be my legacy? Also, if I had to stop working, how would I support myself?
Right.
And that's what started me thinking about being an entrepreneur. I always thought I had time. We always think we have time. Oh, when I retire, I'm going to start buying houses. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. We always think we have time. And sometimes we don't. So I just decided to start a business, right? I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. The whole TikTok thing of starting a business without a business plan, I did that.
Okay.
I was just like,
And
you
what
know,
was
I'm
the
gonna
first, right? What was
my
the
first
first
business
business?
was
Hmm.
Shining Star Kids Salon. It was a kids salon for kids because I had a daughter of my own. And I figured what a way to impact little girls or how they feel because beauty is more than what's on the outside. Being stripped of my hair, my eyebrows, being sick all the time from taking the chemo because you get sick regardless. Because
Yeah.
this is a toxin in your body. You get sick. Like I was sick all the time. My
So
stomach, I have a headache, everything. So I decided to open up a kids salon.
So hold on. So for those
Yeah.
people who are in Brooklyn, particularly, type in Shining Star Kids Salon. And I was at the launching. I was so impressed and just amazed at your not just your situativeness, but your creativity. You literally took, and I have to say this, a hole in the wall and turned
It
it into
was.
bright, brilliant. It made you look like you were like backstage at like I don't want to say like the Grammys, but like you had all these bright lights. And so it was on It's off of Flatbush Avenue
It used
and
to be. So the first
right,
location was at 14 Lennox Road.
right, Lennox Road off of
Lennox Road.
Flatbush.
Right. So this year will be 5 years since that business has been in existence.
Right.
That was the first location. And a year later, I decided to go to Bed-Stuy.
Thank you. All
Now
right.
opened up another location and Bed-Stuy. So
Mhm.
everything was going great. The pandemic hit. Of course, we shut down for like 90 days
Right.
because we were on pause. And I did reopen the Flatbush location, but with the whole uncertainty of, well, we're going to be shut down again, what's going to happen? The kids are not going to school. I choose to consolidate to Bed-Stuy. So right
Mhm.
now we only have one location, which is in Bed-Stuy, 126 Ralph Avenue.
Okay, 126 Ralph Avenue. You'll type that in. 126 Ralph
126
Avenue.
Ralph
Okay.
Avenue. And that was my first business, right? It was kind of like my first. It was kind of like, what would I
Good.
do if I had to stop working? How would you remember me? Like, I just didn't want it to be, I worked for this company for X amount of years and that was it. Like, it was like, I felt like it was like go time. I always feel like I'm running out of time. Like, I have to get it done. Like, I'm running out of time because you just don't know. Like I said, I live my life by a blood test, right? Everything's been doing great. So that was fine. Everything was great. Then we got shut down for the pandemic. And then during that time is when I launched the kids salon hair care products because parents were calling what to do, what not to do, what can I put in my kids' hair? I don't know what to do. I'm lost. So I launched Shine and Star Kids Salon Hair Care.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is business number 2. Now, for those of you who are just popping on, this is a person with a diagnosis of multiple myeloma 6 years ago. And instead of literally and figuratively shutting down, she turned the lights on. She's not just a survivor, but she's a thriver. Someone type that in the chat. I just came up with that. She's not a survivor, she is a thriver. But watch, it gets better.
And then,
Tell us.
but also during the pandemic. So this is things I don't really talk about in public, but I'm definitely feeling the effects of myeloma now more so than I was feeling it 2, 3 years ago. Like my memory is off, my stamina is off. Like I'm sick more because of the ongoing treatment.
Hmm.
My ability to work long hours, I can't do that anymore. I
We
can't.
need a
Like
nap.
it's
So
just
the nap ministry is real.
right. It's not so much the nap, it's the chronic fatigue of being on a ongoing chemo regimen. Period. It's just
Okay.
you're just not the same. It is what it is. So, and then during that time of COVID, like I worked for 25 years straight. I have never been on disability until I got diagnosed. Like I worked 25 years straight for the same company, went to school, had a daughter, had everything. And it was the first time during that time when I couldn't go to work that I started to look at my skin like you need to take better care of yourself. Because at first, because prior to that, I was on straight autopilot. Working school, go to work, taking care. I was a straight autopilot. And that's how I launched Survivant, which means survivor in French. And that
Mhm.
is my skincare line.
So everyone see it says Survivant in the banner at the little ticker below right there. Survivant. So please, people, go to Survivant. Just check it out. Take a look. But this is again out of muck and mire come these multiple businesses. I'm thoroughly impressed. Thoroughly
Thank
impressed.
you. So Survivant, like skincare, how do you find time for yourself? How do you find time to, it's like, because when you was faced with whether it be cancer, divorce, financial hardship, you need those few minutes to yourself every day to figure out how you're gonna make it through this day.
Hmm.
The T, right? How you gonna make it through this day? And everybody's situation is pertinent to how they feel. Like I don't like when people minimalize how people feel about a certain situation, right? It could be you lost your job. It could be you have cancer. Oh, so what? You get over it. Everybody has a different level of what's important to them and how it makes them feel, right? And that's something that we need to respect about people, right? So how do you take those few moments, whether it's the morning or the night, just to look yourself in the mirror and say, this is my game plan? And that's how Survivant came about. And all these little things that I did over the course of 6 years, even prior, all came together. How I would spend time by myself, just talk to myself in the mirror, You got this. Don't worry. You got this presentation. You're gonna make it happen. You're gonna do it. It's how I realized was all my coping mechanisms that helped me to this point. Because it's a struggle. Every week is a struggle of what's gonna happen, if I'm still gonna respond, how do I feel? When COVID hit, the fear was you should not get COVID because you're not gonna make it.
Wow.
Because you have a compromised immune system, you're overweight, don't get COVID. It was a scary, scary time. It was more scary than when I had my transplant. It was like, do not get COVID because you're not gonna make it. So how do you manage all those emotions,
Right.
right, and still function every day? So that's how Survivant came about out of all of that. And then my last business is called Labella and Co. I have a partner on that business. She's also a cancer survivor. She's
Hmm.
also a cancer survivor. And during COVID, we wanted to like bring back the sense of the joy of gifting. How do you show people you appreciate them? Because at that time, when we thought about this idea, people were dying 900 at a time. I would literally sit on my couch and wait for Cuomo to come on TV to say, today we lost
Yeah.
903, 998, 1,002 people died today. The numbers were just crazy. So
Yeah.
that's how that business works. Let's like start to enjoy each other because we definitely felt like either one of us wasn't going to make it because what they were saying when you having pre-existing conditions or someone in our immediate family was not going to make it. That's just
Right.
how we felt at that time. So that's how all from me being diagnosed and who molded me into what I am today and the businesses that hopefully will continue to grow and that will be my legacy when that time comes. So that's the story how this whole craziness started of me being an entrepreneur.
So we started with Shining Star Kid Salon. Then it grew to Survivant.
And that was really the kids hair products came
Sorry.
and
So
then
the salon,
Servivant,
the products, then the adult self-care products, Survivant, and now this fourth one
Labella,
of what's the name of it again? Bella,
Labella and Co. Labella and Co.
LaBelle and Co.
Labella and Co. So also I tell people during COVID is the only time the world shut down. I remember walking home 9/11 and going to work on 9/12. The blackout we went to work. There was never a time when the city shut down, when
Right.
all economics kind of paused. Like we just didn't know. Like how do you really pivot during that time in order to keep your existing businesses going and how do you develop an
Right.
income stream? Right? Because we could very well be put back on pause now with Omicron coming out, even though they say they're not going to, but we don't know. Like how do you kind of pivot and still keep your businesses going is what kind of COVID did for me.
So I actually want to ask that question because, of course, I mean, and I've known you for a number of years. We're still really, literally trying to figure out like how we first like met, but I think I remember. But when your physical business
Mm-hmm.
had to close its doors, and a number of people, and some people who are watching now, had or well, let's just say had a business that had which was brick and mortar. If for nothing else, Rona, as I still need to call it for myself, Rona forced people to take that brick and mortar and shift it to something that was not just product, but service based. And so I can almost hear, like after week 3, week 4, week 5, parents sort of calling, "You open yet?" And you say no.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay, 5 or 6 weeks. Well, what am I going to do? How am I going to do my child's hair? And if you have not seen uh, the salon, the Shining Star Kids Salon, please go look up that page. The images of the girls and these beautiful melanated girls with their hair in braids and cornrows and just representing these beautiful girls had this gorgeous beadwork done. They walked in, of course, they walked in beautiful, but they walked out like phenomenal looking. And that pride, that self esteem is just so important, of course. And we also always know hashtag representation matters. So someone put that in the chat. But when you had to shift and go from a brick and mortar to like, how am I going to continue to service my clients? You literally pivoted. You pivoted right along with it. And you said, okay, if y'all can't
I
come
did a
to
few.
me, mhm. Go ahead.
So I did a few things during that time. I started making like beads and bow sets, and I would ship it to the parents
Yeah.
just
Look
so
at
they can have. Because the kids were like on Zoom at school. How can they just look pretty? Because the whole premise behind Shining Star Kids Salon is you are a shining star, right? If you look at the logo, you are a shining star. I didn't want to go with the whole glitz and glamour, Instagram, their distorted image of who they think beauty is based upon what they
right.
see on social media. Is that getting your hair done and getting yourself together for school puts you in the right frame mind to
Beautiful.
just be great. It's nothing
Yep.
like getting your hair done and you pop out, your beads are swinging. And I've seen
Yep. Yep.
so many children transform when they jump out the chair,
Yeah. Yeah.
how they feel about themselves, how they feel going to school. I see the ease on the parents' face when they don't have to do their child's hair anymore. Like they're just ready for school. It's just one less thing to think about as a mother working, navigating yourself. Some of them go to school, they're working, they're single moms, they have 3 or 4 kids. There's nothing like that ease of my kid here is together and they're going to school and I have to think about it.
Right.
So over the past 5 years, I've met several parents, mothers and fathers. Like between Flatbush and Bed-Stuy, I have met a tremendous amount of people, and I'm grateful to them. I mean, if they don't know, I want to say now I'm grateful for them. I enjoy seeing them come to the salon. Whether some customers became repeat customers or one-time customers, it was a pleasure to see them, like to see how happy they were for us to provide a service that they were happy with and it put a smile on their face. I'm grateful for it. I'm totally, totally grateful for it. I've seen kids, parents who can't do their kids' hair, and they be, oh, Keisha, you got to help us, and we be able to help them. I have biracial kids that come to the salon who parents don't know how to do their hair, and we kind of help them. So when we shut down, definitely I was getting the phone calls like, y'all not open. Why you not open? Can I come? No, it's COVID. No, you
Right.
cannot. Like you can't.
Can I
Right.
meet you in the hallway? Can I meet?
No, no. Some did ask, but I was like, no. But also it was a time for the parent to figure out, you better figure it out. Because I don't know when we're opening. And I thought we was gonna be closed for 2 weeks. I was like, we'll be open soon, don't worry.
Right.
It was like
We
90
all
days.
thought that. Right.
It was like 90 days. We didn't open back up until like July. From like March 16th to like July, we opened. But it definitely shifts how people view how important it was to get their hair. And I've seen that shift in the business. It's kind of like, I can figure it out. I'll wing it because we're not going out as much. They're not going to school as much. A lot of parents lost their jobs. It's a lot of
Right.
different factors that have changed the beauty industry as a whole.
Right.
But
And
overall,
right, the focus on the priority of what is crucial, like what is most important. A lot of people became minimalists in a lot of different ways, not
a
just
lot of it.
I say to people sometimes, let's say pre-Rona, people would say, "Oh, if you haven't worn," I love this line, "if you haven't worn it in 6 months, like you don't need it." And so I said, "Well, then after this, then I'm just relegated to 2 pairs of sweatpants, 4 sweatshirts or t-shirts, and my fuzzy slippers and my 2 pair of fuzzy socks. Like that's
Yeah,
all I'm gonna wear, because that's
it
all I want
definitely
for a whole year." But
right, but
right, go ahead.
it definitely changed. COVID definitely changed what we thought was important and not important. Like I go outside sometimes in sweatpants, something I wouldn't have did 10 years ago. No way. You got to
Right,
be dressed to the nine every time you come outside. But outside of all of that,
not
I,
now.
I really dislike talking about COVID all the time.
Right.
It kind
So
of
let's talk about what's happening now. Let's talk about what's
correct.
happening now. How Survivant is shifted your thinking, your streams of income, and what's happening in the next couple of days. I know you have a couple of challenges coming up. So how are
Oh,
we
right.
taking this surviving to thriving? Because I'm
So
ready.
surviving and thriving, so the podcast surviving and thriving is the podcast I hope to launch by my birthday.
Yay.
And the whole idea behind it is, we all survive something, whether it is changing jobs, financial hardship, divorce. How do we survive and still thrive at the same time? Because life is not stopping. And that's just what it is. Like the world is not stopping. Even when you get diagnosed with cancer, whatever the case may be, your friends are there for you, but their lives go on. And you have to figure out how to push forward. So that's
Right.
in June. As far as Survivant is concerned, no, that's primarily e-commerce business. It's definitely taking strides. It's been a year now since we launched. It's doing okay, but I do want to launch for Valentine's Day. Love your skin, right? So first, I wanted to do a whole makeup free challenge, but some of my friends are like, "Mm-mm, I can't do makeup free for 21 days." So,
I will wear the shirt. I'm on. I
so
already have my shirt. I'm ready. When are we starting?
So next Monday, which is the 24th, we're going to launch Love Your Skin campaign, right? So whatever that means for you, a couple things I do want to ask us all to do is drink more water. That's one. Drink more water. More water helps you in so many ways with your skin. If you're taking medication, water is crucial. Drink more water.
Mhm.
Also, moisturize your skin. You got to take care of your skin and
Please,
get
somebody type
rest.
this in.
Get
Water,
rest
moisturize, rest.
and get adequate rest. Whether you are working hard, uh, um, working through an illness, a situation, you have to rest because without rest, you're no good to yourself. So those are the three things that I want to
Okay.
really go talk about for the next 6 weeks going into Valentine's Day. Drink more water, moisturize, take care of your skin, and rest. Make time to rest. So, all of you who are watching, please follow me on Survivant Skincare as I launch that. I'm going to have a couple of challenges, a couple of giveaways, and also for the digital couch community, if you use
Listen up, people. Listen up.
DC22, you will get 20% on Survivant as well as the Kids Salon products. I'm sure Doria will wrap this call and give you all the links that you need along with your access code effective tonight at midnight for you to purchase your items.
Yay!
So
I
that's
am
what's going on. But outside, I know that we're gonna run out of time. What I would like for the listeners to get out of this podcast or interview is life happens. Life happens. If you told me that I'll be diagnosed with incurable cancer, I would have been like, no way possible. It happens. It's how you manage yourself in the in between. So if you follow my story, I'm known as the fearless survivor, right? So most people don't really understand what that means, but for me, fearlessness is I had to stare fear in the face and push forward. So I just choose to live fearlessly. I gotta walk in faith. Your date is already written. It's what do you do in the in between? Fearless survivor. And survivant means survivor in French. So the kids' products are called Fearless, Fearless Restore, and the adult products are called Survivant because I am the fearless survivor.
I
I'm telling
love
you,
it.
it's
I love it. I
definitely
love
multiple myeloma was really my gift. As crazy as it sounds, it was my
it.
gift. It just pushed me to live my life and celebrate every day, to celebrate the survivor in you. Like you have to normalize celebrating yourself and patting yourself on the back because everybody has something going on. Your family, your spouse, your kids. How do you keep yourself going? Celebrate the survivor in you. It's one of my other taglines. So that is the story. Anything else you would like to know, Doriel? You know I'm an
So
open book. I tell it
I
all.
I would like to know, how will we find out when the podcast launches? What platforms are you going to be on? I know you are the IG woman. I know I'm bringing you over to Facebook for a minute. So
Right.
is it going to be on Clubhouse? Is it going to be on like BuzzFeed? Are you going to do a podcast platform? Are you going to go live like this? Are you going to push the live button, which is what I encourage people to do? Like, how are you going to do it?
Um,
Where do we find you?
I think I'm going to start off with a combination of a few things. I'm going to start going live and just talking about the story more. I mean, social media is needed. It's a struggle for me with social media, to be very honest. It's just, I'm ultra critical of how I look, how I sound, what am I going to say? But I'm getting over that, as you can see from the feed. I decided this year that I really
Mhm.
wanted to share my story. It wasn't really never a secret for me, but I want to share my story and see how many people I really could impact and help, whether it's launch your business, help you in your business, because I definitely made a few mistakes, right? How I can help you get to where you want to be. So that is my plan for this year. My goals is to launch the Surviving is Thriving, which will be probably on Shopify or a podcast platform. how I can launch a
Okay.
series, okay, to help other
All
women
right.
or
So
anyone who wants to start a business. Um, and just for me to share the knowledge that I've learned between my prior background as being a sales manager in corporate to what I've learned in the past 6 years, how to help people get to point A to point B. There's nothing more satisfying than starting your own business and seeing it through to fruition to get your dream out there. But what's important is to flush that dream out, that it actually makes sense. Because sometimes when we think about something, it doesn't translate the same way. How to flush it out that it makes sense, that it can be profitable, right? Because I definitely had some stumbling steps, blocks along the way. You say
I
something?
am, yeah, I am just, I'm flabbergasted. I am awestruck. You are like a shero in my head. I am so
Thank you.
excited to not just know you, but to do some work with you. And, people will see that in the next couple of weeks and months. Please, if anybody's interested, just like Keisha said about like sort of starting your own, like a live platform, like I have done for a while now, then please check out the live stream Laboratorial. Some of you in here are already in it, and I look forward to supporting people to get there, as I say, get their face in the digital space. I definitely want to encourage you more. And in the live stream Laboratorial on Facebook, then, we talk about those things and everything from not just mindset to, leveraging your moments and materials and just all the things that it takes to kind of make sure when you push that live button, people see you, you show up in your best self, you maximize the time, and you have a good time leaving a legacy, leaving some precious moments for people to take to, regenerate into other different products and platforms so that you can make the most out of your words. Please, people, follow on Survivant. Make sure, and I'm sure that you're going to come back. Probably it would be great if you
Of
came back
course, I would
when
love
the
to come back.
podcast starts, so that we can celebrate you even more and check in with you. Again, if you do go onto survivant.com and you use the code, somebody type it in, DC22. That is the first affiliate code that you can use. Thank you so much. Somebody just gave me a thumbs up. Please put in the
Listen,
chat
and I'm gonna tell you,
DC22.
the skincare is great. It's fierce. Like you will feel renewed. I love it. But yeah, DC 22 to get 20% off for the digital couch. Thank you for having me. I'm definitely anytime you want to have me back, I'll be more than happy to come back. Whether you want to talk about in business, if you want a part two to this conversation based upon the feedback that you receive from your listeners, I'm more than happy
We get in the
to come
calendar
back
right
on.
now. I'm not
I'm more than
joking.
happy. Yeah, I'm more than happy
So
to come back on.
when is the podcast launching?
I'm gonna say my birthday is June 14th. It'll be in June.
So we are going to June. We're going to
June.
put it on the calendar, okay? On the
June,
calendar.
yeah.
So you all please follow, support. If it rings true with you, if you know someone that has survived or has gone through the journey with not just multiple myeloma, but any form of cancer, and you still see them and you can still embrace them and chat with them, give them space to share the journey that they are on at the moment. Hold space for them. Be present. Of course, we're not going to belittle the moment and say, oh, you will, or it's just. If you're going to start out the conversation, you need to be slapped. And I said that, I'm going to say it again. You need to be slapped because you don't know what that person is walking, sleeping, eating, being present in their own skin and how that impacts their body. Nobody can be in that person's shoes but them. Allow them to talk. Of course, look out for resources. I've said in the past couple of live streams that if you have a spiritual base, that is great. That is excellent. Do not, though, discount being on somebody's couch to talk about it.
Don't.
You have to be on somebody's couch to talk about it. Go to a counselor, LCSW, all the CSWs or therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, and of course, if you're in Sloan or if you're in What's the other
So
place you went?
Sloan, most cancer hospitals have a tremendous amount of resources.
Right.
So does Sloan. But I'm gonna so even for myself, so because people know that I have cancer, they tend to contact me. For people who have cancers that's not really multiple myeloma, and that's something I want to start this year also. It's kind of like a support group, because your friends and everybody want to sympathize with you. They want to
Right.
tell you that it's going to be okay, but it's different when someone is going through it who really understands it. And
Right.
you have to allow that person to come to terms on what's really happening, because the information is fast and furious.
Hmm.
Even for cancers that can be cured, sometimes it can't be cured, depending on where you are, how your body responds. Does it metastasize to another part of your body? It's a lot to deal with. So if you have someone you would like for me to speak with them, please send me a DM. You can contact me anytime through DM or through email. Doria will give you all that information that you need. I would definitely support, because it's different when you are living it. I'm telling
Right.
you. Everybody's like, oh, Keisha's gonna be okay. Don't worry, you're gonna be fine. You're the strongest person I know, but you gotta believe it for that to be true. Is for people to tell you is one thing, but I'm gonna tell you it's mind over matter. You have to stay positive and move forward in anything you do, actually. Whatever struggles or challenges you're having is mind, mind over matter. You gotta believe.
Someone please type that in, mind over matter. So as a recap, we have been just chatting for the past few moments with Keisha Hixson, who is the owner, the operator of 4 different businesses as a result of her journey of being diagnosed with multiple myeloma during this very week 6 years ago.
This is when it will happen this week. Actually, the weather is exactly the same. I remember like it was yesterday. So that is a story.
Right. So we want to make sure we support. Please look up www.survivant.com. And if you use the code, my first affiliate code, I'm so excited.
DC22, Digital Couch
DC,
22.
Digital Couch 22, so DC 22, you can get 20% off of any of the products that she has. January 24th, she's going to start a challenge of love yourself, and so we're going to, of course, drink more water, and you'll probably see me post this anyway. Drink more water, get some more rest, and
Hydrate, moisturize, take care of
moist.
yourself. Like, right, look at yourself. Be your best self. Don't wear makeup one day out the week if you're a person that wear makeup every day. Show up as yourself. Take
Give
care
yourself
of
a
yourself.
rest. Give your skin a rest.
Give
Let
yourself skin
unclog your
rest.
pores. So I don't know. Maybe I'll have to do. Maybe we can like do a mask. I don't know. I'm okay. I'm fine with doing a mask on camera.
You could do a
I,
scrub. I have a
we'll see.
scrub. You could do a scrub. Scrub is amazing.
There we go. That'll be one
You
of
do a
our
scrub.
one of our days
Maybe
in the
we do it
next.
on live together. We do a scrub together.
That's what I mean. Oh my
That's
gosh.
so cool.
So please
So the
again
top
check us
sellers, wait,
out.
quickly, the top sellers are the cleanser, the vitamin C, and the scrub, and the moisturizer.
Okay. Okay.
Those are the top
We'll,
three.
we'll have to show
Top
that. We'll have to show
top
that.
four.
So I want to make sure that people, again, this is 2022. We have already booked through the end of March. Through the end of March, I'm actually now spilling into April. There will be guests on the couch for each and every Monday. So please set your notifications, show up at 7 p.m. on Monday nights, and check out who we have on the digital couch. Again, this is Keisha Hixson. She has been our guest today. We thank her. We love her. We appreciate and support her
Thank you.
journey, not just to survive, but to thrive, and to show us that a diagnosis doesn't mean that there's still, everyone has a date with destiny, but it's what it is that you do in the meantime that
And
leaves
the
a
in between
legacy,
is what it means. How do you survive? How do
right?
you survive and become fearless? You got to stare it in the face.
Excellent. So I appreciate you. Please, everyone,
Thank
please
you.
drop a comment, drop or whatever it is that that really resonated with your spirit. Was a question? It was is it a comment? Something that you wanted to remember? Please drop it in the comments so that we can respond to you in the next few hours and days. Again, please use. Thank you so much for the people who are leaving all these great comments. We want to celebrate her, of course, support her, of course. Survivant.com, Survivant.com, Survivant.com. This is Keisha Hixson. This is Doria Inez Larrier of Larrier's Education and Resource Network, where I plant seeds to help you grow. And I want to make sure that people can follow us over the next couple of weeks and months, especially to hear her podcast. And if there's anybody who you know who has either been diagnosed or currently or was diagnosed or is looking for either a support group or even to give voice, like if we have other people who have survived different cancer diagnoses and they're interested in participating in a support group to help those people who are new to this part of life, then let's give the information and the support to people who
And
need
in
it.
closing remarks, definitely so Shining Star Cares is a non-for-profit that I started about 4 years ago. The intention is to help children of parents who have diagnosed with terminal illness or have died from a terminal illness. And that's something this year that I do want to kind of like do more work in. I've done it in the past where I've donated hairstyles, school supplies, but like the pandemic kind of like slowed some of that down. But Shining Star Cares is something that I definitely want to work a little bit more vigorously on, especially, so many children have lost their parents due to COVID. Um, how can we help support those children? Whether it be school supplies, a hairstyle, just toiletries. That's also on my agenda for the fourth quarter this year to really try to make some impact in that way, because it's about the kids. The kids are who are left behind. The adults, they can wing for themselves. It's the kids who I'm really interested in helping.
Once again, we thank you all. Please, again, drop a comment, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, and we will respond within the next few days as we get ourselves back together. I look forward to seeing all of you next week. If there's even someone that you know, and thank you, my goodness, Laura, these shows are really great. I'd really like to suggest somebody else who should sit on the digital couch. Please, you know how to get in touch with me. If you know me, you know how to get in touch with me. But, DM, if some of y'all know my phone number, you know how to reach me. Please send it to my information. And I love you all.
Great
Peace and
comment.
blessings. This is a Learn to Grow You moment where I plant seeds to help you grow.
Thank you so much for the comments.
Yay. And
They're really great. I
we'll
just
get back.
forget. I skipped over. But thank you guys.
All right. Good night, everyone.